When I heard that you accepted a full-time position, I really was truly, honestly happy for you. So tell me more about like that and how you feel about transitioning to your own classroom. Like,
Well, of course, I have this certain anxiety.
you don't have to be like yelling and growling at people. People used to tell me I would never be able to manage my classroom because I didn't have hope in me. You don't need to have the hope in order to manage classroom because it's not about punishing. It's just about holding them to an expectation. Just consistently reminding them of what that is. So give me an example of a misbehavior that somebody would do.
Somebody on their phone.
Say, Xavier, are you being open to new experiences right now? Because it looks like your head is down in your phone. And we're open to new experiences, which means I need you to get this information. All right, see how like the expectation now, automatically I can address the behavior. All right, give me another one. I like this. Give me another one. Give me the way that you manage your classroom. Bro, if you miss everything else, I'm gonna give you this. Like, you wanna take this with you so that you reflect on it? But if you forget all this stuff, remember this. Welcome to New Teacher Big Impact, where we help teachers implement best practices without sacrificing their individuality. I'm here with Xavier Wilds today. My man, I call Xavier the humble beast. The humble beast. Because if you just look at you, you're just unassuming, you know, and then but when you get into the classroom, the kids respect you, like they do what they're supposed to do. Middle school, upstairs, downstairs, it doesn't matter. So I call you the humble beast. I know I never told you that, but I call you that. So how do you feel about that name? You feel like it's appropriate?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think it's appropriate. I'm pretty chill, but the energy picks up where it needs to.
I like that, not where it needs to. And then, like I was saying, so most subs, when they come, if I didn't say that, he's a sub. He was a sub. We're gonna get to it in a second. But most subs, they come and they're like, put me upstairs or downstairs, because, we're a K-8. So upstairs is middle school, downstairs is elementary school. But you're like, I'm here to serve, like wherever you need me. I seen you downstairs with the second graders. I seen you upstairs with the sixth graders. Do you have a preference?
I prefer the older kids just because I've come to find out that the teachers for the younger kids, they have to be a little more animated. I don't know if I could do that. I'm not saying like, hi guys, how are you type. Like sounding like Mickey Mouse or something.
No, in fact, yeah.
I'm just, I want to be able to say good morning to you and you say good morning back.
Got you. So
Straight
yeah.
line.
Nah, yeah, definitely. You get that with the older kids.
Yeah.
But when I first met you, I don't know if I ever told you this, but when I first met you, I remember you were covering in sixth grade when you started. And normally I always check on the subs just to see how they're doing. And I came in and I met you, just shook your hand, say what's going on. And you were like real soft spoken, real chill, kind of like how you are right now. And I was like, yeah, he ain't gonna make it. Because sixth grade is tough. Like, people come in and they see sixth grade and they just dip. Like, they just leave. So I was like, let me make sure I do some frequent checks. And I came back at the end of the day and students were like, they were still working. They were still seated. Like, they were still doing what they were supposed to do. And I was like, all right, let me find out. So then I went to Barnes. So I was like, yo, Wilds is up there doing the thing. So that's when we was like, we need to get him in here more. But you couldn't, for some reason. You couldn't come consistently?
Yeah, I was in school.
Got you.
Yeah.
So you were in school, couldn't come consistently. But then we wanted you to come more kind of like a full-term basis. So when you graduated, then you started coming more consistently. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But then when we tried to offer you be here all the time, you said no, because why?
I got a position closer to home. I currently drive an hour and 30 minutes away. Or both, one way.
That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wanted to, when I first got the subbing position, I knew I wanted to explore the education field, and subbing was perfect. I didn't have to, of course I had a commitment, but it was on an as-needed basis.
Here?
Yeah.
Well, that's, yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted to test the waters a little bit before I completely dove in, but yeah, I've liked it, and I wanted to get some more experience, so I stayed. And
that's smart though, like to sub while you were in college to see, did you always want to teach?
No, I actually didn't know what I wanted to do at all.
Hold on. So that you subbed and you were like, teaching is for me? Like,
yeah, I had sort of kind of an epiphany. Like, I've been in school for the last 20 years of my life, so it's something that's very familiar to me. And then you get summers off. Like, how can you not want that? But of course, I was able to, I figured out that I'm able to build relationships with the children. And it's just organic. So I figured I should try the education field.
That's what's up. But what did you go to school for?
Interdisciplinary studies. but
Like
I changed my major so many times.
Okay, but that's
So
what I'm
many
saying.
times.
So like when you went to out of high school, you was like, I'm a major in interdisciplinary studies.
No,
Yeah,
no,
okay.
no. I started off nursing,
Okay.
but then they told me you had to get a B plus in chemistry, and my teacher barely spoke English.
So it wasn't.
That was you're done. But then I switched to pre-law, two opposite ends of the spectrum.
Absolutely. From nursing to law.
Yeah,
You just trying stuff.
yeah, just trying
Okay.
stuff. I didn't like that. Then I went to accounting, and I found out that I could graduate sooner because I was at that point I was in school for 1 on 5 years. And I was in college during the pandemic.
True.
Yeah, so it slowed everything down, and by that time I was on my 5th year and I was ready to get out.
True.
Before we get to the next point, I just have to let you know that my book, 99% of Human, 1% Amazing, right now is free. All you have to do is cover the cost of shipping and I'll get it directly to you. So check the link in the description below. If you're receiving value from this video, you'll probably love the book.
But then you just said, let me go into disciplinary studies. You at that point, you knew you wanted to transition to teaching, or you just wanted to get out?
I just wanted to get out, but I wanted something to show for the time that I spent studying. But the subbing job came along, and I found out that that's what I really wanted to do.
Okay. I think that's interesting because I don't know how many people go into subbing and then go into like full-time teaching. Like, well, I'll say that being the catalyst for them saying like, wow, let me go ahead and be a teacher. There may be more. I'm not, comment down below if that's more of like your story, but I know a lot of people, they sub and they're like, I don't like this, you know, because kids, honestly, kids treat subs differently than they teach regular teachers.
Definitely.
Absolutely. So then you come in and you get like the worst experience. So then it's like, I would never want to teach, especially because then it's like, we're not gonna make no money. So like, why that? But I think it's interesting for you that that's what made you say, yeah, like I want more of this. What was it?
Well, I consider myself a creative, and I think the education field is the only place that will allow me to express my creativity while also learning and growing with others.
Okay.
I've always been inquisitive, even as a kid. They used to call me Professor X.
Where?
Yeah. So I think it's
Oh, because they Xavier.
yeah.
Okay, I get it. I'm sorry, it took me a second. That's fire though.
Yeah.
That's Professor X. Okay.
But I've always had this passion for learning, and I've just always been a creative. Like you needed something done, 9 times out of 10 I know how to do it.
Okay.
So I think that's a good quality to have as a teacher.
No, yeah, definitely being resilient, resourceful, have that grit. I'm gonna figure it out.
Definitely.
I'm gonna call you Professor X. For the rest of the show, it's Professor X. All right, so so you threw me off, man. Lost my train of thought. but I was excited. Like, tell me more about the transition. Like, I really, honestly, for real, wanted you to stay here full time. I had no idea you traveling an hour and a half. That's wild. That's crazy. But when I heard that you accepted a full-time position, I really was truly, honestly happy for you. So tell me more about like that and how you feel about transitioning to your own classroom, like to a real teacher.
Yeah. Well, of course, I have this certain anxiety because I'm doing high school education, and just older kids scare me a little bit.
Oh,
They scare me a little.
So you like middle school, but high school you're afraid of.
Maybe it was just from my personal experience of high school, but I'm quickly learning ways to, I guess, get over it.
Okay.
I don't know what causes the certain anxiety. Maybe it was I started off at a big high school, a big public high school.
When you were in high school.
Yeah. And I just felt like there wasn't a sense of individuality for me, basically because it was like 30 other kids in each class, and you got different classes, so it was hard for me to connect with teachers. But that motivated me to go to a middle college. And I sort of kind of, even now, I feel like that played a role in where I am today because I wasn't able to explore and figure out what I wanted to do. Like, I feel like I had the tools to explore different career paths. I would have came upon something similar.
Like something like teaching?
Yeah.
What is middle college? Just clarify that for me.
It's just where I get to take high school and college courses.
Okay, so you were high school age, but you were taking those college type of courses. Okay, I think I've heard of that. Got you. So with this experience now, what is making you nervous about being a high school teacher? You said 9th grade bio, right?
Yeah, 9th grade biology. Really, as we know, in North Carolina, testing is a huge thing. And I've just, being responsible for someone learning that much material, or just material in general, and being responsible for that many children, is just, I don't know.
So you think the test scores are going to be an indicator of like how you are as a teacher?
I don't want it to be that.
Okay.
That's what it is.
So you're afraid that it could become that.
Yeah.
Like if they don't do well on the end of grade assessment, that it's like, dang, Professor X wasn't really Professor
Right,
X.
right.
Okay.
That's exactly what's gonna go on in my head.
Gotcha. And it's tough. And I know that that's a real anxiety for you, so I don't want to dismiss it. But I do also want you to be real. Like you're coming in mid-year, so it's January. Right? Is it a new group of students? Are they on a semester by semester basis?
Well, yeah, I think they are.
Okay, so they never had bio before. Gotcha. So I was gonna say you're coming in mid-year, like you got half the time to work with what everybody else had a full year.
Right.
But if you're on a semester by semester basis, that's even better because like this is all you. This is all your baby. Like this is 100% you. I wouldn't be too nervous about it. There's definitely reason to be nervous, 100%. But I remember when I started my career, I was like terrible, like for real. But even the data was like super terrible. I taught 7th grade math when I started, and I tell people all the time, like when we do mid-year assessment data, like mid-year check-ins and things like that, my students were scoring like, they would come in on a 6th grade level, and in mid-year they were like 4th grade, 5th grade. Like we were taking like the iReady assessments type stuff. I'm like, whoa, what is even happening right now? So honestly, it's because my classroom management was so bad. I couldn't really get them the information. But at the end of the year, I mean, the scores were not good at all. But I think there's a certain level of forgiveness when it comes to first-year teachers. Certain level, especially coming in half the year, first-year teachers, is like, we at least got to give you a full year under your belt. They try to do things like give you an action plan or give you action steps or things like that. So if the first year doesn't go well, data-wise, that it's like, okay, what do we need to put in place in order to help support you to, you know what I'm saying, like get to where you want to be. Now, 2-3 years of bad data, that's when it's like, all right, you got to go. But most of the time, first year, there's a little grace there. But I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole, but like testing anxiety shouldn't be like that for teachers or for students. The fact that you just want to come in, you just said you had this epiphany that you want to help support students. You want to help support them through their learning and help them be great and connect with them. But your biggest anxiety is that they may not do well on the test.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. Like,
well, I will say I knew I wanted to start off with social studies, just because I connect more with social sciences. But because I did get my degree in interdisciplinary studies, I was well versed in multiple areas. True. So they sort of kind of stuck me where I could fit. So that's really, I guess, another major contributor to the anxiety. I just didn't want to. I feel like I'm being blindsided almost.
Gotcha. Did you interview for something?
Yeah.
So let me take it back. Let me just, because I think somebody else might also be in that situation where they're like, I know a lot of people that actually that exact same story where it's like, I didn't know what I wanted, switched my major up a couple of times, so I just got a degree so I could leave college. Teaching is one of those professions where you got a degree, come on, you know? So tell me more about like that process of applying to schools. Did they need a license? Like, did you apply for a specific job? Did they reach out to you? Did you find them? Like, tell me more about that process.
So I put in multiple applications, of course. I did multiple interviews, but I mostly tried to apply to social studies positions, but wasn't getting any callbacks. But then I applied to a general teaching position, and that's when the calls started rolling in. And I knew driving an hour and a half here, that was a little stressful. But I was already preparing myself to do it because I would have stayed here had I not found a position that was more fitting. But yeah, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
You're good. I didn't want to like interject. I was like, he's right there. He's about to get it. But now we're talking about, you said you started applying for different positions. General, when you applied, not specific, I would do social studies, but when you just said, I'll teach, then they opened up the doors and they started interviewing. So then, it was like middle school, high school, or it was like kind of everything you applied for?
I was trying to stick to middle school, but then I branched out, did high school, just based off of the advice from even you. They told me if you could do middle school, you could do high school. So I'm trying to lean into that, and I'm one that's always going to try something. And if it doesn't work, of course, I know how to pivot and make lemonade out of lemons.
True.
But it was mainly the reassurance from my clan of teachers. They told me if you can do middle school, you can probably do high school.
Yeah, because middle school is a little wild. That's what all my experience is in teaching middle school. And so I don't have any experience in high school, obviously, so I can't even tell you. But I just know that middle school is wild. All right, so you're applying to different places. You said you interviewed a lot. So who, did the first person call you back? Was it not the first person?
It took, the first 2 interviews, I didn't even get a call back. They told me, and I thought it was going to be something different for a school. Like, I know schools have a lot going on, but I'm just so used to just, I guess, the corporate world. And if they don't want to, they'll just shoot you a little email. But I didn't even hear anything back.
Still to this day.
Still to this day. Still to this day.
Well, that's not a reflection of you. Let me just say, you didn't do a terrible job. They just,
I
like you said, they probably just got busy.
Yeah. So that was a little discouraging. But then I started getting calls for, of course, the general teaching position, and they were telling me what position they wanted to hire me for. And really, the position that I'm going to now, it stuck out to me because they were very real in the interview. Like, they kept it 100%. They told me that even a lot of teachers struggled in their first year, and a lot of people won't tell you that. I mean, of course, you sort of kind of would assume that it would be a little challenging, but they were very upfront, and they said that they were willing to work with me. I know a lot of people, even management, other places, they'll say that they are willing to work with you, and then they don't.
No, but that's good though. So I think it's a blessing that you ended up in that spot, because it's the first year. My first year teaching was the worst year of my life. I'm not saying like the worst year of my career. Like, literally 2014, like that 2014, 2015 made it the worst year of my life because I struggled so much. But I had such a supportive administrative staff. It's crazy. Even they said that they weren't going to bring me back after year 1, but because they were desperate for math teachers, they was like, we might as well give this another shot with this guy. But I'm telling you, like, it's crazy. So the fact that they're upfront, like, listen, we know it's year 1 for you. We're here to support you. I think that's good, bro. Like, that's what's up. So heading in is obviously closer to your house. It's high school. Did you know it was high school biology?
They just told me science.
So you just
But I'm good at science and social studies.
Okay.
So I knew that those were going to be the ones that I was going to look at first.
Yeah.
But like I said, I was trying to stay away from testing.
For sure. But you didn't. So.
Yeah.
Do you think that, did they ask you anything about licensing, certification, your college career?
Yeah, so I really just needed a degree to get my foot in the door and to get an emergency license. But after this school year is up, I would have to apply for an actual license, and that would require me to take the praxis or have enough coursework.
Gotcha.
But I told myself that I was already going to go back to school, get a master's degree. Haven't decided what, but I do know that that's my next step.
Okay. Just curious why.
I just want to further my education, get some more things under my belt, really. Hopefully it'll expand my career, expand my horizons.
Yeah, maybe. I'm always a little apprehensive because masters require money, obviously, right? You gotta pay for it. But sometimes the payoff is not worth the investment. And I'm trying to be careful with my words because I don't want to discourage you, like if that's your dream, right? But it's like, so I'm thinking about what the goal is and what you want to unlock. For me, I got my master's when I was in Alabama. And at that point, teachers were making a certain amount of money, but then if you got your master's, you would get paid more. Right now in North Carolina, it doesn't matter whether you have your master's or not. So when I stopped teaching in Alabama and I moved over to North Carolina, my pay would have been the same whether I had a bachelor's or a master's. So there's some teachers who's like, oh, I want to get my master's so I get paid more. I'm like, in North Carolina, then anyway, that's not going to be a thing. In some states, maybe. For some reason, it doesn't. I'm not gonna say it doesn't make you more marketable. It depends on what it's in and what you want to do. So I would say that. Think about what it is that you want to go. Because you already have the interdisciplinary study degree. You already got a teaching job. They already showed you the path of emergency license to passing the praxis to full license. Like, if you want to teach high school biology, you're good. Like, you don't need, I would say, another degree. You're already there, right? But if you're saying like, I want to become an administrator, or I want to do curriculum and instruction, or I want to be something like this, and then you get a degree in leadership or, you know, instruction, then I would say, once you have that clarity, once you have that clarity of what the next step is, then if you need a master's to unlock that, then yeah. But I wouldn't say, because then it might be similar to you, when you got your interdisciplinary study degree. You might just enroll in your master's program and start taking classes, and it's not applicable to what you want to do next. So now you're switching your major, you know what I'm saying? So I think first having that clarity, like, boom, this is where I want to go. So now what masters will unlock that? Maybe.
No, dude. Well, I do know my end goal is to teach at a collegiate level.
So yeah, you need a master's, doctorate, and beyond.
I know. I want to start off with a master's because I think you can definitely teach at a community college. So I want to try that out.
Yeah. What do you want to teach?
Definitely a social science.
Okay.
I've always been into ethics, psychology, anthropology, those types of things.
Got you.
So.
Okay. I don't even know what half those are. I know it's psychology. I thought anthropology was bugs. That's not.
I think that's entomology.
Okay. What's anthropology?
It's, I want to say, the study of civilizations and the behavior of civilizations.
Okay.
So.
All right. Okay. So cool. So the teaching high school is like a stepping stone to your eventual. Dope. All right. I feel that. I support that. I like that. You got it. Still backwards plan. Like, think I want to be a psych professor. I want to be an anthropology, not entomology, anthropology professor. And then, you know, backwards plan from there, what classes I'll need to take. Because again, I just want you to get that master's and get into your next next thing, you know? That's fire, bro. So when you're thinking about day one, when's your start date?
February 12th.
Okay. So at the time of recording this is January, what's today? January 30th. All right, I wanted to make sure I got this in because I know you're about to leave us and I'll never see you again. So you get about 2 weeks. Over these next 2 weeks, what are you thinking? Like, how are you gonna show up on day one?
I'm still working on that. Like, of course, I want to set my classroom expectations and just have a clear classroom dynamic. I feel like that's something I lack as a sub now, so that's going to be the first thing that I want to build with the students.
Okay. I love that you said that. Build with the students.
Yeah.
Like, not for them, but like include them in the process.
Yeah, and I've been looking at TikTok videos like you recommended, just on how to come in, especially for a teacher coming in the middle of the year.
Yeah.
And a first year teacher at that.
Okay.
So I've just been researching until I can find what works for me.
Yeah. Can I just tell you that you are like super brave?
Thank you.
I'm serious. Like, middle of the year, first year teaching, that's tough. That's tough. But it's definitely not impossible, and you're capable of doing hard things. So let's get it. Let's do it. Do you have a plan for like classroom management, behaviors, misbehaviors?
I will say that is an area where I need to improve. Mostly just with consistency.
That's the word. I love it. Okay.
Yeah.
But the fact that that you could like acknowledge that is crazy, because some people, because consistency is honestly the key to classroom management, for real. And what a lot of people do is they'll try something and they'll say it doesn't work because they themselves were not consistent with it. So with the fact that you're already identifying, like, man, if I just was consistent with the system, then I know it would work. That's huge, bro.
Definitely. And I consider myself a very coachable person. I'm open to constructive criticism all the time. So that's really something I'm excited for, just to see where I can improve to make me better at my job.
Okay. And I think that'll go a long way. So if you're open to coaching, let's give it a shot. Let's see. Because you said you don't have a plan yet. So let's think about a classroom management plan. Can we take the next couple minutes to like create your plan for day one? I just want to make sure that you.
I need that. I need it.
So I'll walk you through the process that I walk people through when we're coaching, like how to manage your classroom. And it's going to be principles, not necessarily a turnkey solution, but principles, because again, I want you to implement best practices while retaining your individuality. Like, I don't want you to become the next best me. I want you to be the very best you. So I want to help you understand the principles. So the principles, I want you to think about What if I told you that the principles that are being taught in this video could be taught to your school community live and in person? Well, the answer is yes. I'm Daryl Williams Jr., and you know that I'm on a mission to help 1 million students be able to live the life that they choose, not the life they're forced to settle for. And I do that by empowering new teachers to have a big impact on student achievement data without burning out, without feeling unsupported, and without changing who they are. So if there's a message that I can empower your students, your staff, your school community with, I would love to pop up in person and make that happen and provide massive value for your school community. Check the link in the description below to fill out a booking form, and somebody from the team will get back to you about how we can work together. What are the 3 things that students need to be able to do to be successful in your class?
You said 3 things?
3 things they need to do in order to be successful in your class.
Of course, be willing to talk to me.
Okay, willing to talk.
Just communicate in general, because I can
Okay.
only help you or I can only further help you if you communicate what you need.
Okay, so like being willing to communicate their struggles, if you would.
Yeah.
Or communicate, okay.
Outside of what I can already see, I need you to relay that back to me.
I got you. That's one.
I hate to sound cliche, but be able to follow directions. That's
right.
a necessity.
Sometimes cliches need to happen. Follow directions, tell me why.
I'm just very strategic in everything that I do, and I want you to be as well.
So when you're saying you need them to follow directions, is the academic processes, or you need them to follow directions like in the class? Like come in, sit down type directions?
Both. Because I feel like when you can't follow classroom structure, it leads to other things like behavioral problems, and then it starts affecting other students, and it's just a domino effect.
Not for sure. So follow directions, okay, bet.
3rd one, just care about your education, really.
Care, why? What would them caring about the education do for them?
When you care about your education, it shows that you're on a road to complete goals.
Okay.
Because even something as simple as a diploma, you can't even get a job at McDonald's without a diploma.
Facts. I don't know, I never looked it up.
So I just want students to care about their learning and their learning experience.
Okay, so you're saying obviously you need them to care. How would you know if they care?
Really through engagement. Of course, I'm going to do my part, make sure that the lesson is engaging, but outside of that, that's where we need to assess problems.
How will you know? Like, how will you know if they're disengaged because they don't care, or they're disengaged because you're boring?
That's where communication comes in, though.
Okay.
Like if I need to liven up the lesson a little bit for you, you have to communicate that to me.
True.
Or if you have something going on at home, you have to communicate that to me, because I don't know. I can't read minds.
Right.
So
with the communication thing, it's not just willing to communicate their struggles, it's willing to communicate the struggles, successes, failures, roadblocks, apprehensions. Okay, anything that's holding them back. So now I want to flip the script. So these are the 3 things, I'm gonna read them to you again. These are the 3 things, but now I want you to think about what would keep students from doing these things successfully. Because from there, then we're gonna build out our expectations for the class. So the 3 things you said that they need to be able to do are they need to be willing to communicate the struggles or anything that is holding them back. They also have to follow directions and abide by your procedures. And they have to care about their education. What's stopping them from doing these 3 things? What 3 things are stopping them from doing these 3 things?
Communication, something physical. Of course, I can gauge that where I need to.
But you want to communicate. Like, you want them to be able to speak.
Yeah.
So if somebody's sitting in your class, let's just say you have a student named Ashley, right? And she's sitting in your class and she's not getting it. Like, everything is over her head. Why wouldn't she tell you?
Maybe it's too personal. Maybe she doesn't find me approachable.
So if she doesn't find you approachable, what would keep her from talking to you? Like, what is that emotion, or what is the thought going through their head when she's sitting in class and saying, "Oh, dang, Professor X is not approachable"? Like, what is that feeling or emotion or thought? Like, what's keeping her in her seat?
The fear of judgment.
Okay. So what's keeping students, or what could potentially keep students from communicating their needs, is fear of being judged. Boom. All right, so that's one. All right. So there may be a fear of being judged. All right. What keeps them from following directions?
Lack of structure in other areas, or inconsistency.
Well, on your part?
Yeah.
What is in their control that would stop them from following directions?
I want to say inflated sense of self. They think they know it all, but I also don't want to place the blame on them, because I'm always looking at what I can do
Yeah, because you're a humble beast. Because you're humble, like you're gonna take all that, which is dope. But there's also, they have ownership in this as well. So I love that you identified, okay, maybe it's me. So far, for all these ones, you're like, maybe it's me, maybe I'm boring, maybe it's, you know what I'm saying? But they have the ownership too. Like, what will keep them from following directions? And say you're being consistent, because you're always gonna have those students. Say you are being consistent, say the directions are clear. What would keep somebody from wanting to follow directions? I'm thinking that sometimes they just want to do things their own way. Like, they just want that. You know, so you're saying, if I tell you to do step 1, step 2, step 3, but they're like, I'm just gonna go straight to step 3, that individual is saying, I got this. Like, I can do things my own way. So maybe it's a lack of trust, right? Or maybe it's just what'd you say, overinflation? What did you say? Say that again.
Inflated sense of self.
Inflated sense of self. Like, so I got this already. I already know enough. I can't learn anything new. I already know. What would that? There's a word for that. I guess it's inflated sense of self. But go ahead, producer. What you got? What's the word? Ego. Maybe they got a big ego. There we go. Shout out to Ashley Hill in the background. maybe their ego won't allow them to follow your directions. I like that. Thank you. All right. So last one. Why would somebody not care about the education?
That could also be a number of things. They have outside personal problems going on, things at home.
You said something earlier that I loved. You said that when they don't care about something, then they won't like show up, basically. And I think conversely, when they do care about something, they're willing to sacrifice. They will go through it. The best example I can think of is when I think about students in class who they'll be sleeping and have their head on the desk or something, but then after school you see them in basketball practice and they just like, they're live, they're running up and down the court, you know what I'm saying? And they're struggling, they're sweating. And it's obviously a lot harder to go through basketball practice than to sit and take notes in class, but they don't care about the classwork. They care about the basketball or whatever they think playing basketball is going to unlock for them. So they are willing to struggle on the basketball court. They're not willing to struggle in the classroom. So one of the reasons why students don't struggle in the classroom is because they don't care enough about what their education could unlock for them. So what you're saying is you want them to care about the education. And the reason why some of them don't care about the education is because they don't see where it's going to take them. So it's like, I'll just chill. I don't need to worry about this right now. The basketball, yeah, that's gonna take me to the NBA, right? Of course, that's what they all say. That's what they're all thinking. But this biology work, nah, I don't need to care about that, right? So I'm hearing the reason why they are not, some people don't care is because they don't see what it's gonna unlock for them, okay? Okay, all right. So let's recap and then I'm gonna show you why we did this. 3 things you say your students need to do. Gotta be willing to communicate their struggles. They have to follow directions and abide by procedures, and they have to care about their education, right? The things that are holding them back, maybe they have a fear of being judged. Maybe their ego won't allow them to because they have a inflated sense of self. I'm gonna start saying that. And then maybe they don't care because they're not sure like what their education is gonna unlock for them. So the reason why I want us to go through this route, because again, even if you go through TikTok and you look at different videos and study things, a lot of times what we see is people saying, these are my classroom expectations. Try this in your 9th grade biology class. And you're like, let me try that. And then when things don't go well, you're like, why? It worked so well for them. It worked so well for her. Because the reason is you don't want to be the next best version of anybody else. You want to be the very best version of yourself. So thinking about what do students need to be successful in my classroom, now we're going to unpack. So these are the things that they need to do. These are the fears that are stopping them, these 3 things we just mentioned. Now we're going to create expectations that combat those fears. Those will then be your classroom expectations that you will hold students accountable to.
Okay.
All right? So stay with me. We're getting there. Almost done. So the fear of being judged. I'm going to tell you what I'm hearing, and you tell me if it's something that you connect with. Expectations, you want to have like 3 to 5. Expectations a couple of years ago replaced rules. You know, when we were growing up, rules, no chewing gum in class, no doing this, no, right? But with rules, it's long, and then you start looking at all the little behaviors that shouldn't be done, I guess you would say, that are gonna take them away from, being successful in class. But where does that list stop? So it was like, no chewing gum. Well, I wasn't chewing gum, I was eating Takis. Okay, well, no eating Takis. Well, it's not Takis, it's hot Cheetos. Well, no eating in class. Like, so now your list is growing. But expectations is, if the expectation is, stay focused, right? Okay, if you're eating Takis, put that away because you're not focused. It doesn't matter what the thing is, right? So rules are too specific and minute. Like you got to target every little thing. Whereas expectations is more of an overarching umbrella, and everything that the expectation covers is where students should align.
All right.
So let's come up with these expectations. First, you said that there's a fear of being judged. The expectation I'm hearing, so we need all students to, one, be in a mindset where they are okay with being judged, because we don't want them to have the fear of being judged, because, again, that's what's going to keep them from communicating with us. So being open-minded, that can be an expectation. Be open-minded, but then also with our classmates, we don't want them to judge each other, because we know that if they're judging, if they're snickering, if they're saying things to each other behind the scenes, under the table and things like that, that's going to keep somebody from speaking up, because they're like, oh, people are judging me, people are laughing at me, people are making fun of me. So I would have a classroom expectation where we don't, that we treat others with respect and treat others well and treat others kindly, because in that case, we're not judging anybody, right? So I'm hearing two so far, which would be have an open mind and be resilient. Resilient means even if they do judge you, that's fine, right? But then I'm also hearing that we need to treat others well and with respect, so that we're not, so I can target or I can keep people from being judged. I want it to be I don't want it to be my words. I want it to be your words. So how about, okay, give that an expectation. For the first one, individual student that doesn't want to be, you don't want them to have the fear of being judged. How would you say that as an expectation?
Being open, I guess. Open to new ideas, open to
I love it.
new experiences.
Experiences. Yeah, there you go. All right, so be open to new experiences. Yeah, because as somebody who is open to new experiences, they're going to have their open mind. Even when you're doing something on the board that's a little tough, I'm open-minded. I'm open to this new experience. I'm not going to be afraid. I'm going to give it a shot. Boom, boom. That's expectation number one. You got it. Number two, what would you say to other students instead of don't be mean to each other? You know, because they're like, I wasn't being mean. I just said. So how would you frame that in a positive way?
I hate the one worded, but respect. Just respect is
And that's
respect
fine.
everything.
The cool thing is, because earlier you said, I don't want to sound cliche, but the cool thing is, like, if it's the thing you want to say, then just do it. Like, respect is such a powerful word. Like, you don't have to find a synonym just to find a synonym. If respect is what you want, respect, cool. So respect each other, respect others. And that's also powerful because they can understand that. They know what respect means. All right, so you got two expectations already. First, be open to new experiences. Second, respect others. The next thing I'm thinking of is something to do with the ego. So we said sometimes their ego won't allow them to follow the directions. Sometimes they have a inflated sense of self that they can't follow the directions. How would you then make that an expectation that they follow directions?
I guess be coachable.
Be coachable. I love that. Yes, because somebody who's not coachable is somebody who says, I already know everything. I'm good. I don't need to do things your way. But be coachable. I love that. And honestly, I think that's amazing for high school. I think that's good high school terminology. I wouldn't say that in kindergarten, but you know, I think in high school they're like, okay, be coachable. Like I can resonate with that. I know what that means. And then the last one we said to care about their learning. We want them to care about their learning. Sometimes they don't care about their learning because they don't see what their learning is going to unlock for them. What would you say is then the expectation that you need for every student to make sure they care about their learning?
Always put their best foot forward, inside and out the classroom.
Why outside the classroom?
Really, I believe people are a reflection of what they know. So if, for example, you see someone out in public acting crazy, they don't know any better. And I know that sounds bad to say. But when you're taught from an early age to always do your best and show up your best, it's hard not to when you've been doing it from childhood.
No, yeah, I get that. So you want them to build that muscle so they keep it with them. I love that. So we have 4, man. We have 4. And like I said, 3 to 5 is typically the go-to. We don't have to force it to 5. As you continue to think about this and reflect on this conversation, if you want to add another or take one away, whatever, before February 12th, go for it. But let me show you what your classroom expectations would be, right? This in Professor X's classroom. Check this out. 1, we're going to be open to new experiences. 2, we're going to respect others. 3, we're all going to be coachable. And 4, we're all going to put our best foot forward. You think that if students came in every day and did those 4 things successfully, that they'll be successful in your classroom?
Definitely.
That's how you make your expectations, right? Like that. Like that's how you do it. The next phase would then be, how do you hold them accountable to the expectations? And like you said, now it's consistency with the consequences. I would say that the way that you manage your classroom, bro, if you miss everything else, I'm gonna give you this. Like, you gonna take this with you so that you reflect on it. But if you forget all this stuff, remember this: clear expectations and consistent consequences. That's the unlock. That was the unlock for me from year one, from being a terrible teacher to becoming a 2-time teacher of the year. I learned how to have clear expectations and consistent consequences. You got clear expectations now. Then the consistent consequences part is what's going to happen when we fall short of the expectation. And it has to be consistent. So we'll briefly talk about that just right now. We'll briefly talk about that, but like, it has to be consistent. And let me give you an example of what that would look like. The expectation, give me an example of a misbehavior that somebody would do.
Somebody would be on their phone.
Somebody be on their phone.
I'm lecturing.
On their phone while lecturing, meaning they're not engaged, they're not paying attention, right? So I will come over to them and say, hey, Xavier, are you being open to new experiences right now? Because it looks like your head is down in your phone. And we're open to new experiences, which means I need you to get this information. Right? See how like the expectation now, automatically I can address the behavior. All right, give me another one. I like this. Give me another one.
Have students whispering while someone is giving a presentation.
Whispering while they're giving a presentation. You see Ashley giving a presentation? Are you respecting her right now? Because we have a classroom expectation where we respect others. And right now, you're not being very respectful to Ashley. Like, it's, you know what I'm saying? Like, now it's aligning to the expectation. So that's why you have the 4 expectations, or 5, however many you decide. I wouldn't do more than 5 for real, because then it gets to be too much, right? You covered the basis of what you need. But now, anytime somebody's falling short of the expectation, you call out the expectation and you address the behavior. I always like to go with the 5-tier system, which I'll show you. The first one is always gonna be a warning. That's everywhere you go, all right? First one's the warning, but at every phase, you call out the expectation. That's your warning. You're not respecting Ashley as she's presenting. That's your warning, right? The second one would be a loss of a privilege, but that you control, because the goal is you want it to be quick. So sometimes people would do like after school detention. Like, you can't control whether or not they got a ride to stay after school or not. So sometimes that's something, I ain't coming anyway, right? Silent lunch. I mean, you can't really control whether they talk or not. Like, you can stand there and tell them to stop talking, but if they want to talk, they're gonna talk, you know? So take away a privilege that you control, which sometimes you can do, like, say if you have every other Friday, we have free Friday or something like that. Well, you don't get to attend, you gotta go to another classroom. Like something like that, where it's like, I control it, I control this thing, or I'm gonna give everybody, I don't know, Xavier bucks. Sometimes they do stuff like that where you can buy stuff from the teacher or whatever. I'm gonna buy everybody Chick-fil-A. Not saying you have to, but like, you're not gonna get any, you know what I'm saying? So whatever it is, it's something that you control and they have no say no matter whether or not they comply. So the first one's the warning. The second one, I'm gonna take away a privilege that I just took it. You don't have to agree with the fact that it's gone. Like, you just took it. How's that feel so far?
Excellent.
Sound doable? But again, you got to be consistent with it, like,
Definitely.
every time. The third tier, I would say, is then an environmental shift, which would be like, I'll move your seat, or sometimes they have a cool down corner, or I used to have a reflection station where they have to go in there and reflect on their behavior. But that's like, you physically gotta like move. Like, you're sitting in that seat and I had to talk to you 3 times. All right, you gotta go sit over there for me. All right. That one gets a little testy sometimes, but you just gotta be firm with it, because sometimes, like, again, they'll be like, I'm not moving or whatever, you know, that's fine. Don't go back and forth with them. Just go to the next tier. Like, all right, you know what I'm saying? Tier 4, I'd say, is temporarily removed from that environment. Plus, contact parents, because I believe anytime that even in high school, anytime you have to remove them from the learning environment, you gotta let the parents know. I'll remove them or send them out with work for 10, 15 minutes to go to a buddy teacher's classroom or something like that, but let them know, like, because of what's going on here, you can't just sit here and continue to disrupt us. You could talk to them in the hallway, but give them 15 minutes, like, go sit with Ms. Hill for a couple minutes, you can come back. That's fine, and once you're ready to relearn. And then that last step 5 is gonna be seek support, which is either administration or a mentor teacher or somebody who was like, I talked to them 5 times, I called parents and I sent them out, they came back, they're still acting up, now I need some assistance, right? So a lot of times what people do is they give them a warning and then they skip the middle 3 steps and they get frustrated and then they go straight to, I need an administrator, I need a support, I need a referral, right? 'Cause at this point now I'm blowing up, but you missed like all the middle steps. So that's the rubric that I would try. You can decide, obviously, what those things are going to be. Again, I don't want you to use my exact stuff, but the principles, the principles work. These are the best practices. Always start with the warning. If you're going to remove something that you control so they can't fight with it. Yeah. Then shift them up in the environment, let them take a break somewhere else, and then after all else fails, then yeah.
Okay.
Then administration. All right? Now, like I said, the biggest thing, bro, the biggest thing is what?
Consistency.
I'm about to say, boy, if you mess this up, I'm going to start this whole conversation over. Yes. Nah, consistency, for real, for real. So it's like every time somebody falls short of expectation, the first 2, 3, 4 weeks are going to be, boy, you're going to be so tired.
I know it. I know it.
You're going to be so tired. But I promise you, like, if you stay consistent there, then the latter part of the year is going to be straight. Because then they'll know, they're not even going to try it. They're gonna be like, yeah, like I can't talk about so and so when she at the board because that's not respectful. Mr. Wilds is gonna get on me, right? You know, yeah, I can't put my head down because he's gonna say, "Are you putting your best foot forward?" And I know I'm not. You know, so like, there eventually is gonna get ingrained in them just what they can and what they can't do.
Got you.
Yeah, students are really good at finding out what they can get away with.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So if you slip through the cracks with the consistency, they'll be like, "Oh, bet he'll tell me to be quiet, but he ain't really about to do nothing after that. Like after he tells me to be quiet." That's it. If I do it again, he's gonna get frustrated and ignore me. That used to be me. Yeah. Yeah. And I say that this is super cool because it's just like, you don't have to be like yelling and growling at people like people used to tell me that I had to be. And I feel like we have a similar temperament. I feel like I'm a little more up energy. I'm a little hyper. but in terms of like demeanor when we speak to children, I'm not yelling. I'm still always smiling. Right. I'm cool, you know? But people used to tell me I would never be able to manage my classroom because I didn't have that dog in me. They used to call it the Hulk. I didn't have Hulk in me. And you don't got Hulk in you either. Like, you know, but you don't need to have the Hulk in order to manage classroom because it's not about punishing. It's just about holding them to an expectation and just consistently reminding them of what that is. So I think you're gonna do an amazing job, bro. Honestly.
You.
For real, I'm super excited. I'm hurt. Nah, I'm not hurt. I did not know you'd drive an hour and a half, but I am glad that you found something closer. I think our school is gonna be missing something great because I think you could have done some fantastic things here. But I know that wherever you go, you're gonna do some amazing things. So stay consistent. And I think the biggest things to remember is that you are smart enough, you're capable, you can do it. You got this, and I got you. All right?
Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. Anything else you want to say? Or you good to go?
I think that's it.
That's it. We talked out. Appreciate you, bro. That's it.